Welcome to Legs Up the Wall. So I have some props here that I want to share with you. I have a yoga strap. I have a blanket. It could be a beach towel. It could be a pillow from your bed. And I have a yoga bolster. And again, you have the same thing. You could have another folded blanket, or you could have a pillow from your bed. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to get into the base pose. It's a restorative pose, legs up the wall, really good for reducing stress and anxiety, good for stretching out the low back, hamstrings, ends up getting into your hips. So you're going to sit real close to the wall. You're going to lower down onto one elbow, and you're going to scoot your butt close to the wall. Now if you have real tight hamstrings, you're going to have to come away from the wall. If you're not comfortable, just flat on, you see my yoga mat is perpendicular to a nice clean wall. If you're not comfortable here, things just don't feel right, then you can lift your hips and bring a bolster under your low back and sacrum. Ideally, it should be away enough so that your sit bones and you can have that nice curve in your low back, especially if you have super tight hamstrings. This is going to be comfortable for you. And then you want to take your blanket or your pillow and support your head, particularly if you have really strong or really developed upper body, and that when you lie down, your chin is up real high and your nose is up real high. We want to get the natural curve in the neck. So pull that blanket or that pillow underneath your head. You can kind of shove it in there up to your shoulders so that it supports the natural curve of your low back, which feels good. Like I said, if you have tight hamstrings, you're going to move further away from the wall. I am going to take the bolster out from underneath the wall, and I'm going to continue on. I'm going to scoot myself all the way up. I'm wearing nice, comfortable clothing in preparation for being here for a long time. I'm going to pull that pillow back under my head, and now I'm in the base pose, which is legs up the wall. It's very comfortable. It's very restorative. It just feels great. Most important thing for legs up the wall is you really need to be comfortable, and it's different for everybody. Quick disclaimer, if you have any eye issues like glaucoma, if you have high blood pressure, if you have issues with hernia, you want to check with your doctor before doing this. This is considered an inversion. So we're going to call this the base pose, and if you really have, like, you tweaked your back, or you've been sitting in an airplane all day, or had one of those days at work where you just were in your chair all day and your back is killing you, or you just feel that you woke up and there's kind of a tweak or something somewhere, this is a great pose for stretching out the low back and stretching out the whole back with the legs. And what you'll want to do if you're going to stay here for a long time, recommended time is between 5 and 20 minutes, is take a belt. I have a yoga strap here. You can take like a karate belt. You can take any kind of belt. You can take a strap from a suitcase. Just kind of tie it up. And strap your thighs. And the advantage to doing this is it takes all the work out of keeping your legs up this wall for a long period of time. Because after a while, your knees want to splay out, your toes want to splay out, and we don't want to do that. If we're going to sit in a resting pose for a long period of time, we want to be structurally anatomically correct. We want our toes in line with our ankles, ankles in line with our knees, knees about hips width. This will allow to reinforce proper position, proper foundation, so that we can get the most out of the pose. So like I said, if you brush your teeth, you got your pajamas on, you've got your eye pillows, maybe you want to meditate, you can turn all the lights off. This is a really great thing to do at the end of the day. Just kind of have to be prepared, because when you come out of it, you're going to be sleepy, and you want to just kind of roll right out and go and get right into your bed. The other thing is that when you come into a hotel after a lot of travel, I like to go on the bed, right on the hotel bed, move all the pillows out of the way. There's usually a wall or a headboard, and lay right on the bed and get legs up the wall, and even hold my iPad and check my mail, just to give it time. Because when you can kind of marinate in this pose for a long period of time, which we're not going to do here today in the interest of time, you're just not going to believe the feeling that you're going to feel. You're going to feel your calves just all of a sudden start to melt. and the backs of your legs and your glutes all the way up into the low back. It really feels wonderful. But here's what we're gonna do today. This is your basic legs up the wall pose. Again, if at any time you feel uncomfortable, just lift up your hips and you can support the low back. Get a nice curve so that the glutes can kind of curl down towards the floor. And that feels really good. So whatever feels the most comfortable for you. And I'm gonna move on and show you some stretches that you can do in legs up the wall. And I'll talk about a lot of the benefits of this particular pose. So I'm gonna leave this bolster under here for now. So this is our base pose. This is our basic legs up the wall pose. And I'm encouraging the curve of my low back, and encouraging and supporting the curve in the back of my neck, which feels great. And I'm just gonna begin to point and flex. It's actually a dorsiflex by reaching through the heels, and a plantar flex of the ankle. Just kind of engage here. I'm drawing my belly, but I'm not really drawing my belly in that much. We will a little bit later. But this is just to kind of warm up the ankles. Then I'm gonna bring my heels together and my toes apart. And I'm gonna externally rotate so that the pinky edge of my feet are on that wall. And I'm gonna try to draw my toes down towards the floor as much as I can. Huge stretch up through the back of the calves. And I'm gonna point my toes and come up, and I'm gonna come back around. I'm gonna dorsiflex here, open like a T, drag up, and come down. So at any time in this video that something feels really awesome and you wanna keep doing it, just pause it and then you can continue. I'm not gonna stay in each of these for very long. So now we're gonna start with our toes pointed and our heels together. And I'm going to bring my toes together and my heels apart. And I'm gonna bring my toes towards me. I'm gonna open, and then I'm gonna come in. So I'm just kind of windshield wipering. Feels good. Just kind of open and close. Great, then I'm gonna come back to the starting position. After every stretch, we're gonna come back to the starting position. I'm slowly gonna open up to a wide V. And I'm just gonna reach through my heels, track my toes in line with my ankles and my knees, move nice and slowly, and just open up until I start to feel a stretch down the back of the legs. And we'll talk about the benefits of legs up the wall. Why do we do this? We get a lot of the benefits. It kind of invert what happens when we sit and stand all day long. We've got lymphatic and other fluids draining out of the ankles and the feet from standing or sitting for a long period of time. Really good for varicose veins, just overall great for circulation. It gives the blood circulation a boost kind of toward the head and neck area, which is really nice and very great for rebalancing and kind of calming down the central nervous system. It relieves stress, helps with anxiety, really good for sleep, great for headaches, migraines, lowers your blood pressure, helps with menstrual cramps, all that good stuff. So if you find that you can't do headstands and handstands, this is a really nice alternative. You can also really bolster up underneath your hips and get to the point where you start to raise up even higher, and then you're even more like in a supported inversion, which is great. So I'm gonna slowly bring my legs back together, and we're gonna go to a butterfly pose. I'm gonna bring the soles of my feet together and bring my knees out wide. So it's like Supta Baddha Konasana, what we do in yoga. You can flare your knees towards the wall, or you can just kind of hang in this position. You can also take the yoga strap, and you can strap up your ankles if you feel like sitting here for a long period of time, if this feels good. Next stretch, come back to our starting position. We're gonna do a figure four. We're gonna start with the right ankle on top of the left thigh. We're gonna dorsiflex the ankle and aim the sole of the foot towards the wall. And try to get that pinky to outer knee connection. That helps support this knee. And then I'm slowly gonna begin to bend my left knee with super heavy hips. Upper body is completely relaxed, and I'm just gonna bend this knee until I start to feel a stretch on my glute on the right side and my outer hip, and I feel that right now. If you can, bring your foot flat onto the wall. What you want to avoid is tucking your tailbone and stamping the low back down. So you want to keep that curve in the low back. So heavy glutes, heavy so you have a nice arch in your spine. You're really gonna feel a stretch up the back of the leg by doing that. And let's switch sides. We come back to our starting position, left foot on top of the right thigh, flex the ankle, aim the sole of the foot towards the wall, and track this knee down. So I've got toes, ankle, knee, knees in line with this hip. This knee is gonna wanna kind of internally rotate and kind of dump in here. We don't wanna do that. Just kind of press it out towards this foot, and that'll keep it in line. You'll also feel much more of a stretch down the hand, down the glute on the left side. Really nice stretch. Good, and then we're slowly gonna release and come up. And now we're just gonna do a bridge, lower and lift. So you can scoot further away from the wall, or you can just come down, bring your feet are about hips width. Just gonna press my feet into the wall. I'm gonna tuck my tailbone and begin keeping my upper body on the mat. I'm gonna press my shoulders down. I'm slowly gonna lift up. And then I'm gonna tuck even more. And I'm gonna think about laying the middle of my back, each vertebra, going down my spine, one at a time, until I finish with a nice big arch in the spine. Let's do that one more time. Tuck the tailbone, imprint the spine, press with your feet, and come up into bridge. Pause at the top, take an inhale, then an exhale, tuck the tailbone, scoop the belly, and lower down one at a time. Let's do 2 more stretches. I'm gonna take my bolster out from underneath for these next 2. So my knees are bent. I'm gonna bring my right thigh over my left thigh, spread my knees out as wide as I can, and bring the pinky edges of my feet towards the wall. And I'm just gonna drag my toes and my feet up until my left leg is straight, but I can't really straighten my right leg with the position that I'm in without bringing my foot away from the wall. And then I'm gonna come back down. I'm gonna bring my hands onto my shins, my ankles, or my tops of my feet without lifting my head up off the mat. I'm gonna reach through my heels, and I'm just gonna pull my ankles out while I stamp my low back down. You'll feel a big stretch on the right glute on this side. You can lift your feet, you can lower your ankles down towards your hips, you can use the wall and just hang here. And let's slowly release and do the other side. So we come and we bend our knees, feet are flat on the wall. I'm gonna bring my left thigh over my right, walk my right foot over to the left, and bring my pelvis down onto the mat. And then I'm gonna separate my feet and do the same thing I did before. I'm gonna straighten my right leg and see how far I can straighten this left leg without bringing the sole of the pinky edge of the foot. You might be down here, that's fine. You're gonna feel this stretch, especially if you stretch through your heel. Important thing is getting the pinky edge of the foot to stay on the wall. And then lower back down, hands come to the shins, the ankles, or the outer blade edges of these feet. You're gonna flex the toes towards the knee, reach through the heels, pull up with your shins, pull down with your hands. And you can either reach your heels towards the wall or drop your heels down towards your glutes, whatever feels good. It's totally up to you. And like I said, pause this at any time, hit play to come back in. If something feels good, I want you to hang in it. It's really good. Let's come back to our starting position. Really good to spend a couple minutes in this reset, regroup position, this base pose, base legs up the wall, in between each of these deep stretches. Last one. Bring your arms out kind of like a W, like an easy goal post. Bend the knees, bring your feet together, so toes touch, ankles touch, knees touch. You're gonna walk your feet down until your thighs are right on your belly, or as close as you can get. And I'm gonna walk my feet over to the right, all the way down to the baseboard until my right leg is on the floor, and my left, so on this side, I'm pretty flexible. My left shoulder and elbow are still on the mat over here on the left side, and I'm able to stack my knees. And that feels good. It's not going to be the same way on the other side. I think I'm much tighter on the other side. So my feet are on the wall. My right ankle is on the floor. My ankles are stacked and my knees are stacked. My arms are out like a T. And my option is to look over my left shoulder. Really nice twist. Twists are great for digestion if you've had a big meal or if your stomach just doesn't feel good before you go to bed. It's really good to twist it out. Kind of wrings out the intestine. So I'm slowly going to walk my feet back up the wall. You can go back to the starting position. And just you really feel everything flush after constricting those hips after that. I'm going to bend my knees, bring my feet together, my ankles and my knees. Rest them right down on my belly, arms out like a T. I know things are going to be different on this side, so I'm going to walk my feet over. So already my right shoulder is coming up off the mat. So I'm just going to bring my left leg down. My left foot is on the wall. And I'm going to just kind of wave, keeping my right shoulder pinned. I'm just going to give this a little internal kind of pressure down, bringing my top knee down a little bit to my bottom knee while I'm still twisting over towards the right. I feel a big stretch through my inner thigh here. And if you're lucky, you might even get an adjustment. So you want to draw your belly button into your spine. Otherwise, you're relaxed through this whole thing. It's very relaxed stretching. This is static stretching. This is not a series that you want to do before you work out. This is something that you want to do while you're warm. This is not good for cold muscles, except for if you were in the base legs up the wall position. That would be okay, especially with bent knees. So we'll come back up. You're going to finish in your base pose, your starting position. You can stay here as long as you would like. When you're ready to come out, you're going to bend your knees and roll over to one side. And take 8 or 10 nice deep breaths here in this resting pose before pressing ourselves up to a seated position. We've been tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system. That's our rest and digest. That's where our blood pressure kind of regulates and our heartbeat slows down, and we're stress and anxiety and all tension is kind of released from our body. We want to hold on to that for as long as possible. So we're going to go from this position to a seated position very slowly. Bring your top hand to the earth and slowly press yourself up. Use the wall behind you. Swing your legs out in front. You can sit cross-legged. You can sit with your knees bent. And just rest everything up against the wall and close your eyes before you're ready to continue on. Legs up the wall. Super restorative. If you've got chronic back pain, chronic tight glute or hips, just try to do it every day. Try to do it every day for a week for maybe 10 minutes and see how you feel. That's it for Legs Up the Wall. Thanks for joining me.